Hey guys, it's Kaz here, aka Cats and Camera, and today I'm doing my best and worst of 2017. Now luckily this has worked out pretty well because I have the same amount of 5 stars as I do 2 stars-ish. Not gonna lie, one of them is a series, but it still counts. So I have 5 in each, top 5 and worst 5. The top 5 is obviously from best to even betterer. And then the lowest 5, my least favourite books, I'm doing it not necessarily in which I liked the least, but in which that I was most disappointed in. First though, before we get into it, I just want to give an honourable mention to the Raven Cycle. I love this series, it's one of my favourite series. I literally can't think of anything wrong with it, but for some reason I gave all the books 4 stars, so they don't feature in my books that were rated 5 stars, but I feel like if I reread them, I'll probably change them to 5 stars, so honourable mention. It's kind of good though because it means that it doesn't wreck this video of 5 and 5, so in at number 5 on my lowest rated is Doll Shaker. This is a poetry collection by Casey Renee Kisser. I got this as a Goodreads giveaway. It sounded good, it was like dark and disturbing and offbeat, but when I read them they just weren't enjoyable for me personally. There's like 1 or 2 that were alright, but in general I just didn't have any feeling towards most of them. In at number 5 on my top rated I have volume 6 of Chew. This one is Space Cakes. If anyone's been here for a while then you know that Chew is one of my favourite graphic novel series. I say one of, it is my favourite. This is one of the only ones I rated 5 stars. I've put it at the bottom of my 5 stars list because I probably couldn't even tell you what happened in this volume. I couldn't pick out, oh, this was why this was 5 stars and the others were 4. I must just have enjoyed this a lot. So number 4 on my least favourite is Written in Blood. This is by Nathan Bush. This one, again, is something I didn't actually pick up. This one won the most votes to get me to read it and then rate it kind of thing. And it's a crime series and I literally knew who the killer was here. I knew who the killer was here. It was just one of those ones where it was so obvious what was happening and there was like pretend subtleties, but it really wasn't subtle. It was like being hit in the face with a brick, so unfortunately I didn't enjoy this. You should still check out independent authors though. So number 4 in my top rated books, well, this isn't technically a book, it's Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. This is an online webcomic, so I'll leave it below. It's free to read and you should read it because it's so good. It's really cute. It's just slice of life about Charlie and his crush and then them getting together, but it takes ages and it's just really nice and you can just blast through it. It's just really cute and really nice and there's no overly angsty, which is weird for me because I do like really angsty and angry and sad stuff, but it's nice to have a bit of a change sometimes and this is just adorable. You should read it. So number 3 on my lowest rated, this was actually the first book I read in 2017 and that's Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. This one obviously is something that everybody has heard of and I like the idea of the story. I've seen multiple films and everybody knows the story, but this was the first time I actually read the original story and I just thought Alice was really annoying and she just did my head in so much. And I know she's a kid so she's allowed to be annoying, but yeah, it took me so long to read this and look how small it is. I actually pulled this down for a while and then picked it back up. She was just really annoying. She was just constantly asking questions and again, I know that's what kids do, but she wouldn't shut up about it and it was just annoying. I know it's a classic, I didn't like it. Soz. Number 3 on my highest rated is The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. This book is so good and I didn't expect to like it so much, which is just so good. And normally I don't really like historic stuff. I don't really class this as historical. Obviously it is, but it's so historical that it's kind of beyond that. That makes no sense. But basically I don't really like sort of modern historical, like World War and stuff like that. It's not really my thing, but obviously this is from way back. This is about Patroclus, or Patroclus, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. But it's about him and Achilles, obviously, hence the title, and their friendship and then their relationship, and it's all based around the Trojan War, and it was just so good, and it broke my heart and it made me cry. And yeah, you should definitely check it out if you haven't checked it out already. If it's something that you thought, oh, that kind of sounds like something I would want to read, you should definitely check it out, because honestly it's so much better than you probably think it's going to be. We're coming up to the big boys now. We're coming up to the top 2, worst and best. And it's quite funny because my number 2 on the worst list and the best list are probably talked about more than my number 1s. But yeah, we'll get there. So number 2 on my least favourite books of the year is Forgive Me Leonard Peacock by Matthew Quick. Like I just said, this is something that I've mentioned quite often. Whenever I mention in like a tag or something like, oh, a book that you were disappointed in or whatever, it's always this one, because I thought I was going to like it, but it was just really blah. And like the first 170 pages I was just like, I didn't really care for any of the characters, just the storyline in general was just not what I was expecting. I really wanted to like this, but it was just... And also the thing that annoyed me most about this is the footnotes. I don't know if you're about to see this, but like here's the page and then there's a massive footnote, so halfway through you'd have to read that. It just takes you out of the story that it's not really very invested in the first place. So number 2 on my favourite books of the year. This might surprise some people that it's number 2, but it's the All for the Game series by Nora Sakavic. This is literally the only time I've ever bought book merch was with this, because I bought a jumper with our team on, a team logo, and I absolutely love it. I'm going to reread it. It's just so good, but it's not number 1. You'll find out why. You probably already know what it is if you've been here. But yes, this series is so good. This follows the Foxes, the Foxhole Court, which is a team of Exe players, which is a made-up game. And it follows them, the team. There's a lot of Exe played in here. There's a crime undertone. There's... all of the characters are just really unlikable and horrible, but also amazing, and you love them, which is the best sort of characters. And I talk about this so much, you know what it's about. Come on. And if you don't, or if you do, either way you should check them out. They're really, really good. So we have got to number 1, worst and best. Although technically this number 1 worst book isn't the worst book that I read this year, but it was the most disappointing, which is why it's at number 1. And that's The Red Pyramid by Rick Riordan. Like I said, it's not the worst book I read by far. I'm going to read the 2nd and 3rd book in this series, so obviously it's not like terrible. But because I love all of Rick Riordan's other books, other series, it was just so disappointing when I read this one, and I was just like, what? How can this one be so much worse than every other series that is written? It's just the characters. I didn't like the main characters in here. The storyline, it was kind of boring. It went on for too long. I don't mind big books, but this one, it just seemed to drag. The gods, I'm not going to lie, I don't know as much about the Egyptian gods as the Greek and Roman and stuff like that. So maybe that was something to do with it. But, I mean, the Egyptian gods, you know, cats. I should have loved this. But the gods just didn't have as much personality as the other series either. There were a couple of them that I found myself enjoying, but just in general it was just really blah, this book was. Which was so disappointing because, like I said, I love Rick Riordan, I love his writing, normally. I didn't like the way that this was written either. It's written like it's already happened and the 2 main characters are replaying it to us. And then there's these really annoying bits in it where they'll be talking about the scene and then in brackets they'll be like, oh, shut up Sadie, I'm telling this bit. And it's really childish. I know it's a child's series, but it's really childish and annoying, and it took you out of the story, and there's no sort of jeopardy there because you know that they're fine just telling you later on. It's just, yeah, I didn't enjoy it, but not the worst book, but by far the worst Rick Riordan book, which is why it's number 1 in my worst books of 2017. And number 1, best, like I said, if you've been here a while, you probably know what this is. One of Us by Asne Sierstad. How could this not be number 1 when it literally made me cry for about 5 minutes when I was wrapping this up in my October wrap up? how could it not? This book is far from an enjoyable read in one sense, because it's literally a story, a true account of a mass killing that happened in Norway in 2011, and it's a book that stayed with me, as I'm sure you could probably tell when I was talking about this. I'll leave that below so I don't have to go crazy into this. But yeah, with this, it changed my perception so much. It actually made me wonder why I like reading about serial killers and murderers, why I find it interesting. And I have true crime books that I want to read, but since reading this I've really kind of stepped away from them. I can't read any because it just makes me think, why am I reading about somebody that murdered somebody? It's so weird, and I can feel myself right now, even though I'm not even mentioning anything about this, I actually feel like on the brink of tears like I did the first time. I'm not going to go there. It's not happening. This is like my favourite book of 2017, so I'm not going to start crying about it. But it's so heart-wrenching and so hard-hitting that it's literally made me change my look on stuff. All the time I think about this. I'll be stood in random places and just think about what would happen if someone started killing people. And I know that sounds really sort of horrible, but if a book makes you think that much, then it's got to be on the top of your list, hasn't it? Basically, in this book, we don't just see from the killer, we also hear from the victims as well. So we find out the victims are not just the victims, they have names, they have faces, they have personalities and dreams and aspirations, and they have a life. It tells you about them when they were younger and growing up, their parents, their families, their friends. So it makes you have a real connection to the people, and these were real people. This is a true account. This happened, and it just makes you think and makes you wonder why the media and people, myself, why we put so much sort of attention on the person that did it rather than the victims and who they were. They're just numbers or faceless bodies that were killed. But yeah, this changed my perception so much, and it made me rethink a lot of things. And I'm just going to shut up now because I'm literally just rambling. I don't know how long I've been talking. But yeah, like I say, I'll leave my sort of review thing down below, my October wrap up. I'll do it so it starts straight away from where I was talking about this, because it's quite a long one because I read quite a bit in October. But yeah, there was no way that this couldn't be number one because of how much it's literally changed me and changed the way I think about stuff. It's not just an enjoyable read, because it's not. You can't say you enjoy reading a book about people getting methodically killed, like a real life account, not fiction. But it's really important, and it really stuck with me, and I feel like this is going to stick with me for the rest of my life, so it had to be number one. So there you go, guys. I'm sorry at the end it got kind of dark, but I couldn't not put one of us at number one. So tell me down below what were your favourite and least favourite books of 2017. If you've read any of these, tell me what you thought about them. If me talking about them has made you want to read them, tell me down below. If this is your first video by me and you enjoy it, then please check out some of my others, and if you continue to enjoy them, then please subscribe. That'd be awesome. Anyway guys, I will see you in a few days with another video. Bye.